Hi, and welcome to the Azure News Recap for October 2023. We got a lot to process, so let's dive right in. We'll start off with some retiring features. First of all is some retirements in app services, since extended support for PHP 8.1 and Python 3.8 will both be retired. So the PHP one, November 25th, 2024, and the Python 3.8 one, October 2024. Now, this Python retirement also counts for Azure Functions, so please take that in mind. Next up is App Service Environment V1 and V2. Both of these will go into retirement because of the retirement of Cloud Services Classic. With App Service Environment V3, you have a lot of extra features like it runs on more powerful infrastructure, you have simpler network topology. So migrating over to App Service Environment V3 would be a very beneficial step. Now, please take into account that starting January 15th, 2024, creating new V1 or V2 app service environments will no longer be possible. And from August 31st, 2024, they will no longer be supported. So please make sure to migrate before those dates. Next up is cognitive services. And the most changes here in as far as retirement goes are actually around APIs that are being retired. So for instance, all of the computer vision APIs up until v3.1 will be retired September 13th, 2026. So please migrate over to computer vision v3.2 by September 2026. Now, AI Services Personalizer and AI Services Anomaly Detector both will be retired, just like the S2 and S4 pricing instances for Azure AI Translator. So take those into account as well. Next up is MySQL, and Oracle is retiring MySQL v5 5.7 on October 31st this year, so it's already been retired. However, Microsoft is prolonging the support for MySQL v5.7 in Azure Database for MySQL, and as you can see on screen, for single server that means up until September 16th, 2024, and for flexible server even up until September 30th, 2025. Our next retirement feature is Azure Functions, where the runtime version v1 actually ends support September 14th, 2026. It will still be usable beyond that date. However, it will no longer be supported or receive any software or security updates. Migrating over to version 4, which is now the most recent one, will also give you support for additional target frameworks. It will give you the ability to work with the latest Azure SDKs, enhanced monitoring options, and improved reliability, throughput, and cold start performance. So changing over to runtime v4 sounds like a good plan. Next to that, Azure Cosmos DB extension for Azure Functions version 3.x will be going into retirement August 31st, 2024. So please update to extension version 4.x. That's actually built on top of Microsoft.azure.cosmos SDK. Now, please be advised that if you have any problems with these bindings where the root cause lies in the underlying SDK, you will need to update the extension to get support. Now, Azure Cache for Redis will drop support for TLS 1.1 and 1.0, finally, I would almost say, September 30, 2024. So please take into account that you will support TLS 1.2 in consuming applications. Then over to general availability, where our first major thing is that we have Azure IoT Hub now supporting Azure Cosmos DB as a routing endpoint, which means you no longer have to put that Azure function in between to get the data from one, put it into the other. You can do it now by default and automatically using this routing endpoint. Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server now has Azure Private Link support, which allows you to connect to various PaaS services via a private endpoint, and also has read replica available in universal locations, which means that you can replicate your data now to a read-only server somewhere in a universal region. For Azure Cognitive Services, Azure AI Content Safety is now generally available, which enables developers to build safer online environments by detecting and assigning severity scores to unsafe images and text across content categories and languages. So these capabilities empower businesses to effectively prioritize and streamline the review of both human and AI-generated content, enabling the responsible development of next-generation AI applications. There's also some general availability around Azure Database for PostgreSQL, where the latest major PostgreSQL version 16, is now available for Cosmos DB and for PostgreSQL server clusters. This means that we now support this latest major version, and you can upgrade existing clusters by using the in-place upgrade feature. PostgreSQL minor versions are now also supported, 15.4, 14.9, 13.12, 12.16, and 11.21. And we now have auto grow possibilities, which means you no longer have to right size up front, but you can now automatically increase the size of your provisioned storage of your database servers. And last but not least, some awesome preview features. So the new pricing tiers, basic V2 and standard V2 for Azure API management are now in preview. They address highly sought after customer requests, bringing quality of service enhancements and offering a flexible starting point for API management. There's some faster development going on there. We have VNet integration, higher scale, resiliency. There's a lot of added bonus there. And one of my personal favorite services is, of course, Static Web Apps. And Static Web Apps now supports traffic splitting that actually says, or that actually allows you to split traffic across multiple environments. So if you want to do something like an A/B test on two different outcomes of a new feature, you can do that by actually pointing traffic to a specific environment. Next to that, we now have snippets, which is actually a piece of code that you can have injected into each and every page on your Static Web App, which means that if you have, for instance, Microsoft Clarity or Google Analytics that you want to ingest in each and every page, you just write that code once, use it as a snippet, and say, hey, inject this either in the head or in the body of each and every HTML page that is served from that Static Web App. So I think that's a pretty powerful addition as well. As always, this is not a complete list of all of the updates of October 2023. This is just the list of stuff that we found interesting. You can find all of the announcements for this recap either on aka.ms/ANR-2023-10 or scan this QR code. If you want to see all of the Azure updates, please go to azure.com/updates and find all of your Azure updates right there. For now, thanks very much, and we'll see you next month. Bye.